Hi everyone, this is Julie Bruns. Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. I want you to thrive and be happy, peaceful, and content, no matter where you are on your journey. This podcast shares stories that will show you how it can be done, no matter what your circumstances. You'll be inspired and come away with a new spark of an idea. Never forget, anything is possible. New episodes are released every Wednesday. Subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. This helps others find our content and get happier sooner. To possibility and beyond. Welcome, everyone. This episode of the Peace and Possibilities podcast, my guest is Havilah Malone. And please tell me that I'm saying your name perfectly.
Havilah, yep. You got
Havilah,
it.
okay, good. So Havilah and I met we were in a writer's workshop, like an author summit kind of thing a couple of months ago. And when you were talking, Havilah, I was intrigued because in the back of my mind, when I meet people, I'm always like, oh, I want to get to know them better. But the great news is I have this podcast so that I could just say, all right, come on my podcast and tell me more about it. But the main goal in this podcast is to share stories with people that love what they do. And whenever I meet somebody like that, I'm like, I want to learn more about them. And I think other people do too, which is why you're on the podcast. So you were talking about your work that day. And I was like, I got to get her on my podcast. So welcome. And I'm glad we met that day. And I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. So let's talk about what you do. So tell everyone what you do. Tell everyone what you do. And then like what your journey was to get here. So it's never a straight line usually. Although one day I'll meet someone, it's a straight line, I guess, maybe one day, but I've never met that person. Who knows? But tell everyone what you do. And then if you saw yourself with this career that you have now always, or is it something that you were just kind of found yourself in accidentally?
Certainly. So I am an actress, a #1 best-selling author, and an inspirational speaker. And I actually went to school, and I want to back up. So when I was in high school, I used to be a part of this junior league program where we could practice law. Like we actually had real cases that we were working on the sentencing for, like the clients were already found guilty of their crimes, but we argued sentencing before the judge. And I just knew, I was like, I'm gonna go be a lawyer, because like I love debating, I love being able to present information and facts and put it out on the table and win cases. And I was like, this is it. And as I was getting towards the end of my high school career, and it was like, okay, now it's time to choose when you go to school, what you're going to study. And I was like, I could become a lawyer, or I could just play one on TV. So I was like,
That's so funny. You're like, maybe I don't want to do all of that. That's so funny. So you had that light bulb moment, when you were getting ready to go to college, or were you just like, or was it kind of like a random thought you had? Like,
I always loved also the performing arts. Like I always saw myself as being like, in the news, and I would, even as a little kid, I would stand in front of the mirror with a brush and do my little news reports and stuff like that. So I think that concept of being on TV, and I think the main draw in the beginning was because I wanted to be famous, because being famous meant you were important, and it meant that like you were worthy, or your life meant something if you were famous. And so I think that was one of the initial draws to that level of career or lifestyle, was just like, wow, I get to see that person on TV, I want to do that too. And as I went through, like I said, my high school career, and I got introduced to the law, side of it, I was just like, okay, but I love this too, because I love being able to talk and plead a case and be able to present an argument that could make a life-changing decision for someone. So that aspect of it was really drawing for me. And it was like, whoa, like the light bulb moment of, I could bring the two of these pieces together, and I can just do this on that platform. And it was like, oh, okay, cool, that's it.
Did you figure that out in the moment, because on your own, thinking about it and reflecting, or were you having conversations? I'm just curious, because sometimes I'll have these light bulb moments, but it's usually I want to say they're usually by myself. I have them when I'm talking to other people, and I'm just curious, that came to me when you were saying that, where you like, all of this was going on in your own head and you're like, oh, I could do this, or you were talking to people and then you realized after some conversation. Just curious.
I think I know it's like to try to
Yeah.
boil it down to like the one
Yeah.
moment that I think there's a lot of things that we're formulating over time that just kind of pulled me more into one direction and then to another.
Yeah.
Because even as I started like considering schools, because I really wanted to go out to California, I wanted to go to UCLA and study there. And because I started college when I was 16 years old, my parents are like, no, ma'am, like find something local, like find something with your young, naive self. No,
Yeah.
you're gonna stay right here. So I think a lot of it came into like circumstances, what I was drawn to. I think there was a lot of factors involved that finally just made me say, I'm gonna go down this road as opposed to this road. And two, I started thinking about all the things that you do in practicing law and the studies that are required for, getting your law degree. And it was just like, this seems more fun than that.
That's an understatement, right? It probably would have been fun for you eventually, but you had to do a lot of school and a lot of classes and a lot of tests before it was going to be fun.
Right.
Yeah. You're like, wait a minute, I could just do this other thing and get there faster. Okay. So now you're doing all of this in your career, and so now you're an author, best-selling author, you are an inspirational speaker, you are an actor, and as you're doing all that, I'm sure it wasn't just like success right away. It wasn't like you just didn't write a book and then that's it, you're an author and everything's perfect, or a speaker. What was keeping you happy and successful and content along the way in your journey to become an actor, and obviously all the stuff that goes along with that, that's not necessarily always good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about, is the line to get to from where you are, or what your concept of what you want to do to actually getting there, is that a straight line? No. Like I've had many different careers in between the spaces. Like coming out of college, because I did graduate with a degree in dramatic arts and communication and a minor in psychology. And I first started working at a news station behind the scenes. And I worked in news for like 2 years and started doing even field producing. And I found that like I could not, like that was not the thing for me. Like it was just like every day a rape, a murder, a fire, rape, a murder, a fire. And I was getting to the point where I was getting numb to those type of things. And I was just like, this is not the person who I want to be. Like this is not who, so this isn't for me. But I had to try something that I thought was going to be my road, and to figure out that, you know what, it really wasn't. And so I ended up going into corporate America. Like I totally left the whole television piece altogether. And so for nearly a decade, I ran a $160 million technology business for one of the largest computer manufacturers in the world. And in that, while working for that company, because they found out about my television background, and so I ended up becoming their representative on like the Home Shopping Network and QVC, and like selling products on air for that company. So it was just like, even when I got quote unquote off course, like the universe was like, we're gonna try to like put you back into this, like in some way, shape, or form. So like things have gone, and then after being with that company for nearly a decade, we all got laid off. So like life will bring you amazing opportunities for growth and learning and experience, because how do you know what you really want until you've also tried things that you don't want?
Totally agree. So I think it's easier to get clearer that way. I mean, obviously no one wants to do things they don't want to do, but you're not going to know it unless you try. But as soon as you try and it's not right, this is a big thing for me over my career, is like, I know in relationships, I know in jobs, I know very, very quickly if something is right for me or not. And once I know that, which is usually my time frame is usually like 3 weeks, I know I've made a mistake. I'm like, I have to do something about it. I can't just be like, I'll hang on for another year or 2 years. I'm like, I can't. Once I know it's wrong, I have to go. So,
And
I mean, but I like what you were saying about the trying, and then if it's not right, you know already. So you tried it, you know, and now you're that much closer. People think, oh, I failed. No, now you're closer to what you know you really want to do. You can scratch that off the list. That's how I look at it.
yeah, it's important that getting that clarity, and that clarity sometimes only comes through experience, and you
Yes.
being able to say, oh, okay, I thought like last year I was in a relationship, and on paper, every box was checked. And I was like, you're the ideal guy that I like put down on paper.
Yeah.
However, the experience of it gave me even more clarity. And I was like,
Okay.
ooh, not just someone who is into personal development, but who is actually applying the personal
Yeah.
development.
That's a big one. That's a big one. Do you follow Marie Forleo?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she has this saying. It's like taking action brings you clarity or something. I'm paraphrasing it, but it's really like you can't know until you do something, and you'll get, once you have the experience or you try it, you'll get clearer about what you, and it's just I don't think that's taught early enough in our lives, because people say, well, maybe, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm writing about it, and I'm journaling about it, and I'm talking about it. It's like, can you just try it? Just try it. You'll know a lot faster than if you think, reflect, write, talk. You know what I mean? And I love that about you know, her strategy and when she coaches people in that, because it's the fastest way to figure it out.
I
But
can't
people are so afraid of it not working out. It's like, but it was not going to work out anyways. Even if you thought about it for 6 months, when you go to do it, you just wasted 6 months. You could have just done it on day 2 or week 2, right?
and I can't remember who it was who had this quote. Is either Emerson or Einstein, but it's like, it says, do the thing and you will gain the power. Like, you have to do it to be able to get the clarity, the information, the experience. You got to just try stuff. And that's why if you go into things with more of an experimental mindset, like, I'm just experimenting. I mean, that's exactly what marketing is experimenting, is seeing, oh, does this message resonate with the audience, or does this message resonate with the audience? You know, is this product for these folks, or is this product for these folks? It's just trying stuff. And if we stop, like, when you ask a kid to play like an adult, they get real stiff, real serious, real kind of like robotic. And it's kind of like a kid will try stuff and be like, oh, okay, you know, and then try something. And if we could keep that same kind of openness and curiosity and experimentation mindset, life would be so much more like fluid. But it's like, no, you got to get it right. And we've been taught that if you get it wrong, then you're wrong in some way. It's like, no, I'm just trying stuff out and seeing what works for me.
So I'm just trying it. Yeah, it's such a better, well, it's a better mindset. Obviously, it's healthier mentally, and it's more fun, and it's faster. You know, like, than trying it, having to be perfect, preparing for every little thing, and then having it not work, and you spent 6 months preparing for something, or just put it out there. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so what do you think made you successful early on in your career and later? Like, how did you stay happy and peaceful along the way? Did we just talk about that, or is that?
I would say what has made me successful is my like tenacity and determination. Like, once I get my mind set on something, like, it's as good as done. And my mom always tells me the story when I was a kid. She was like, you would like decide you wanted to do something, and whether that was even something like playing with a wall socket, and I would like pull you away from that, and you would just wait till I walked away, and you would go right back to that wall socket. It was just like your mind became like laser locked in on what you wanted. And I think that that's a trait that I've carried with me throughout my entire life. It's kind of like, I may not know how to do it, but if I feel called to it, and then it's something that I want, I'm going to figure out a way to make it happen. And even if everybody around me is like saying, are you sure you want to do that? Is that a little crazy? Is that a little too out there? And either I'm just going to stop telling you until I do it. You know, so I think that determination has been a huge part of my success. And having a mindset to continually grow. Like, I know that I only see a keyhole of what is possible and ways to do something. So as long as I keep an open mind to, you know what, there could be a better way, or I could be a better version of myself, and I'm willing to keep doing the work to expand and not get to a point where I'm like, I know it all, I got this, like, I'm good, this is how it is, and this is how it should always be. Like, no, there's probably a better way, and I'm open to figuring that out, but this is what I want. So let me figure out how to get that.
Right. It's that, like that you said, the tenacity, determination. It's like, it's this, I'm open to how I get to that, but I know that that is the thing I want. And then if you got there and you decided it wasn't, you're like, okay, then I tried, it wasn't, whatever. But until you get there, you're not going to know. But that, but the mindset of being open and how it's going to unfold is the trick. And it's also goes back to that easier way of life. Like, if you can allow things and be open to, all right, it's not going to look exactly how I thought it was going to look, or be comfortable with it not being perfect or whatever it is. It's easier. It's just, it's easier to allow. And then things, ironically, and things end up coming faster because you're just like, okay, bring it on. What is it? What is it? Yeah.
And to learning how the universe actually works, like learning universal laws, like understanding about the law of cause and effect, the law of divine oneness, the law of gestation or divine timing, the law of transmutation of energy. When you understand how the universe works, then you can align yourself to be able to use that for you to get what you want a whole lot quicker and a whole lot easier. A lot of times we're fighting against the flow of how things work. And so it's like, why am I not getting what I want? It's because, like, you're using the law of attraction backwards. Like, you keep thinking about everything you don't want, and so you keep getting more of that. But if you actually focused on what you did want, it would open your amygdala, it would open your reticular activating system to be able to then see the opportunities and align yourself with them so they came to you. So it's just kind of like, when you know how to play the game, you can play the game really well.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. You're right, the vibration changes because you're thinking in the possibilities instead of like what you don't want. That's one major thing I wish I learned earlier in my life. The whole law of attraction and how the universe works, those divine laws and everything, because no matter what anyone wants to say about them, they're there. It's like gravity. You can say, I do or don't believe it until I see it or whatever. You can believe it or not believe it. It's there. It is a thing. It's not tangible. It exists. And I think we were taught that stuff back in the day. I mean, I know I never was, but I've become a good student of all that stuff and read a ton of books and podcasts and workshops and anything I can get my hands on. But had I learned all that sooner, it would have been just like, I have to struggle, I have to work, you have to make the effort, obviously, you have to do the thing, but it would have been easier, it would have come faster. You could have, like you said, aligned to what you wanted and then seen where things took you instead of just like, I'll just keep my head down and working. It's like, no, because you're focusing on the stuff you didn't have, the lack, instead of all of the stuff that's actually out there that's waiting.
Yeah. That's what, like, there was a book that I read like years ago. It's the one by Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements.
Yes, and I just wrote about that in an article. Yes.
Oh my God, when the concept of the fact that the dream of the planet, and then someone said, this is how I want life to be, and this is how I see, how people should operate, how the world should be created. And then we all started to agree with it. It was like, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that that's the only possibility. It's just what you agreed to. But you can always make a new agreement and choose something different. And we're not taught about the power we possess to actually create within this life. And so we think that we're just foot soldiers having to follow some script that society gave us, and then that's how you become successful. No, you get to determine what success is, what it looks like, how much it is, how little it is, where it's not. Like, that's your divine right. And if you step fully into ownership of your life, holy crap, like, that's a different life.
Mm-hmm. Totally. You create what you desire. It's yeah, the biggest, I was just writing, I was doing an interview for this article that's coming out, and I had to write about a book that changed my life. And that book was one of them, because I read it, I think it was like 2008 or 9, but it's only, it's 4 agreements, but that one about not taking things personally, it was just like this, oh my gosh, like if everyone stopped doing that, it would never, because everyone always thinks it's right, it's about you. Like they're mad. They walked in the room, they didn't say hi to me because they're mad at me. Like, that's nothing to do with you. And it's selfish to think it does. And when he said that way, I'm like, I don't want to be considered selfish. It is selfish. Wait, it's selfish to make it about me. Yes, it is selfish to make it about you. It's really nothing about you. It's almost never about you. But again, if you're growing up and you're in the corporate world and you're around people and you're thinking, did I offend them? Did they do that? And you're always worrying about it, instead of like, no one's even thinking about you. No one's even thinking about how they're just thinking about themselves and how they've been affected, or something that they've gone through that was bad or good or whatever. But when you make it all about you, you're never happy. And that was just like this big, like, stop making it about you. It has nothing to do with you, and quit thinking that way. I was like, oh my gosh, that was it. That's it.
Literally,
Amazing.
even when it's the good stuff or what you have assigned or labeled good, or the stuff that you have assigned or labeled as bad, none of it is about you.
Right. You're right. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yes. I could talk all day about all of those lessons. I've read so many books, and there's still so many more to be read. It's like, it's fascinating, and it's something I wish that I had known a lot sooner. So is there advice you have for someone searching for a meaningful career? You kind of talked about this already, like experimenting, one where they can use their strengths. So someone says, I want to be a lawyer and I'm really good at debating and really good at this, but I don't know if I want to do that. Or, I want to act, but can I make a living doing that? And not, what am I going to do in my life? Like, what would you say to people that are?
One thing I would definitely say is surround yourself with the people who are doing what it is that you want to do, and allow that exposure to give you insight into, is it really something you want to do? Because once you immerse yourself in that world, you start to hear the level of conversations, the type of day-to-day things that go on to make that a reality, the highs, the lows of that particular pursuit that you want. It'll give you a lot of insight to say, okay, do I really want to step off into this direction? And so I definitely think the communities that you surround yourself with, the people that you surround yourself with, is extremely important. So I will start to, if you're saying, hey, I want to be a lawyer, then get a lawyer mentor. And also, so like, start networking in communities with lawyers, like join the chat groups or the Facebook groups or the meetup groups or whatever that have these individuals, and just sit and observe and ask questions and listen, and you'll get a feel, like your solar plexus, your gut, your internal knowing will know, like, you'll be drawn to it, or you'll be like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah. It's really great advice. I used to tell my kids, one just graduated college, the other one just started college. It's just say, like, it was back in the day when I was, years ago, it was called informational interviewing. Like, you don't have to get on the phone and try to interview for a job. You can just say, I would really like to learn more about what you do and what your day is like, or whatever. And like, offer to buy them coffee. This is an old school networking trick. I'm sure it still works and is talked about in a different way, but like, why not? And offer something to them, and then just ask them a million questions, things that you're assuming or not assuming, and what it would be like for them. And then when you get done with that conversation, if you're still curious about it and you would like what you heard, then you can ask more questions. But if you're like, oh, I didn't even think about any of those things, well, you just saved yourself like maybe 4 years in college, or or a career, or whatever it is. But yeah, just like teaching. I thought I wanted to be a teacher, but I went and got this elementary education master's, and I was teaching, and I said to my husband, like, oh my God, I can't teach second graders for the rest of my life. I can't, it's like a babysitter. I can't do that. And then I went to high school. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't, you should see the way I talk to each other. I'm like, what? My husband's like, yeah, the kids are tough. I mean, you don't know what you're getting into. And I loved the teaching concept, but I ended up being a corporate trainer. And I took my business degree and my teaching degree, but I couldn't have known that unless I went and did the teaching thing. I thought, I can't wait to do. And once I got in there, I'm like, I don't want to teach at a school. I want to teach in the corporate world. hurry up, let's show me that. But I did that early enough. And as soon as I knew it was wrong, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, I'm like, that's not what I want. I'm going to try this. That's not it either. What is it? And then keep going back to the drawing board. But at least I didn't like become a teacher and then for 10 years go, I don't like this. Then I just wasted 10 years of my life or whatever. But yeah, it's very important to be finding out if those people that you think are doing the thing you want to do is actually going to be what you want. And it's like, it's such great advice. Whether the people are just start getting out of college or even mid-career, start talking to people, like you said, in a networking group of you're going to go to school, back to school to be a social worker. You better go talk to some social workers. You know, I think I really want to be a counselor. Go talk to some counselors and see what their lives are like and see if that's really what you want. Because what if the work is not what you want? It's just the studying, you know? Yeah. Okay. Is there anything that you wish you had learned earlier in your life or career? I showed you what mine was. What's something that you wish you had learned earlier?
I wish I had have known, and I also have a belief that we get what we need when we need it. So I don't believe in like regrets in life. I believe that it shows up when it's supposed to. So but one of the things that I would encourage for anyone, no matter what stage in life you are right now, is to really get an understanding of who and what you really are, because we're not taught that in our traditional religious beliefs, in our traditional schooling, like how powerful you really are and that you are a creator, and taking more responsibility for the circumstances of your life and the choices that you make within your life. Because had I understood that every event in life is neutral and it's about the meaning that I choose to give to it, whether it becomes something that's a negative experience for me or a positive experience for me. But I actually have that power to choose, as opposed to just buying into the story or buying into the mass consciousness of those around me. And because we are social creatures, we want approval, we want belonging, we want to be a part of a social construct, we usually fall into alignment with whoever, like whatever our family beliefs are, or whatever our community beliefs are, or our, ethnic beliefs or whatever, but not realizing that those were all choices that someone made. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. It's a choice, and you always have an opportunity to choose differently if you want to.
Yeah, that's a huge one, that you create your own existence. Like you said, there's not everything's neutral. I love that. I wrote that down. Everything is neutral until you decide if it's good or bad, whatever it's going to be. I just read this. I don't know if you follow Esther Hicks and her teachings. Yeah. So this is one of the ones that came out the other day from her. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing with their vibration. It only matters what you are doing. You cannot desire something and notice that it isn't coming without offering two contradictory vibrations that won't let it come. So it's like that, going back to like, you're the creator of it. If you're in that instance and you're considering something negative, or you're perceiving it as something negative, that vibration you're bringing to it, you can change the feeling of it just because you have from the power that you have. Instead of saying, well, they're being really negative, now I feel negative, now I feel crappy, this isn't what I want, and I'm good on this rabbit hole. No, you just decided all that within seconds. Instead of saying, this has nothing to do with me, this isn't personal, this isn't what I want to perceive, this is neutral, and I want to put a good spin on it, not a negative spin on it. Yes, if we knew that we had all that power earlier, it's like amazing what we could have. Yeah, it's like, that's a massive, massive regret of mine. And regret's not the good word, because I believe, like you, I don't believe in regrets, because I think we are exactly where we need to be when we get the lessons when we need it and all of that. But I just really wish I had learned all of the power and all that science and way earlier.
And two, it's like also the power of the present moment, because yesterday that's gone, it's in the past, it's a moment that's no longer in existence. Tomorrow hasn't come yet, that's not a moment that's in existence. But in this moment that I'm in right now, I get to make a choice. And so the most powerful time that we have is right now.
Yeah.
So like, this is where all of the opportunity is in this moment. So we can always choose differently. Forget yesterday. Like, okay, yesterday, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing right now? And that's what matters, because that actually creates the energetic motion of what is going to happen tomorrow.
Right. Right. Because we're so powerful. It's awesome. Okay. So tell us about your book. Tell us about work that you're doing that you want to promote, and how people can get in touch with you, and if they want you to speak at their company, or tell us more about that.
Certainly. So my newest #1 bestseller, which is Rewriting a New History, is a spiritual path to audacious authenticity and healing. And this book is a powerfully insightful look at ourselves and the power that we do possess. And I bring people on a journey through my own spiritual awakening that I had with working with a shaman in an ayahuasca ceremony.
Ooh.
And divine manifesto that came through me through that experience, which is something that is beneficial for us all in our journey. Like, we're definitely in a time right now where our consciousness is continuing to expand. We're looking for deeper connection to ourselves and each other, and really coming to that place where we're like, I can make these choices, and being able to see that there's a way bigger picture than we've been shown. A way bigger picture. And so this, and it's a fully illustrated book as well. So it really brings deep into that very spiritual path. So I'm super excited about, being able to finally even step in a place in my life where I had the confidence to share at this level of vulnerability, because it goes very, very deep.
Oh, cool. You hit mute. There you go.
And the other, for those who have product services, this is called How to Become a Publicity Magnet in Any Market, be it TV, radio, and print. And so if you have a message and you're trying to get it out there to your target audience, how to utilize very powerful platforms of television, radio, print, and how to get on those platforms actually for free by becoming someone who is bringing so much value that they want to bring you on. And so it helps you to first get out of your own way and be able to take advantage of those opportunities that are there and available for you to make an impact on people's lives.
Awesome.
Yay. And then the one that I am super proud of, for all of you who are familiar with Napoleon Hill's work and Think and Grow Rich, this is the children's version of Think and Grow Rich. So it's called The Amazing Adventures of Oliver Hill. It actually breaks down Napoleon Hill's full 17 principles of success and short rhyme children's stories. So this is actually published by the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and the answer to Napoleon Hill's own request to bring his principles of success to children of all ages.
That's awesome. I love that. That's so cool. I didn't even know that existed. All right, we're gonna have to check those out. So if they want to go, so they want to get those names, obviously wherever books are sold, they can buy it. But you have a website they could just go to and see everything on there.
Yes.
What's the website?
You go to HavilahMalone.com. That's HavilahMalone.com. Or you can go to Amazon, type in my name, all the books will come up, or Barnes and Nobles, or wherever books are sold. Awesome. And absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Havilah. It's been so fun talking to you, and I knew we'd be more aligned than I'm not surprised to see how aligned we are. It's fun. I love talking about all those concepts, I'm sure, as you can imagine. So thank you for sharing, and good luck with all your books and your acting and your speaking and everything.
Yes, thank you so much. Matter of fact, I think there's 2 national commercials running right now where you see my face on your TV wherever you are.
Awesome. We'll look for you. Thank you. And kudos to all the good work you're doing and more that you're going to be creating. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day. Take care. Thanks for listening. If you love this content, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you found us on. You can get all my social media links in the description below. Help us keep the momentum going so that every person can live their lives happily, doing work they love.